Today's guest on the Supply Chain Insider podcast is a remarkable individual who is not only a skilled supply chain expert but also a passionate advocate for empowering others. We are going to meet Cristina Radu. We will discuss her inspiring journey as an entrepreneur and how she is using her expertise to help business overcome complex supply chain challenges. Join us as we explore the human side of supply chain optimization and the importance of fostering a community of knowledgeable and supportive professionals. So, Christina, heading directly to you, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm a mathematician, so I have a PhD in mathematics. But already from my studies, I was very interested in optimization. And then 10 years ago, I started working in supply chain. I started working for Bridgestone, and I was an optimization expert. So they basically hired me because I knew mathematics. I didn't know business. I didn't know supply chain. I didn't know planning software, solvers, anything. So I just landed. And I actually discovered it was so interesting and I was so fascinated that I just felt like, oh, those solvers, I really enjoy working with them. So then I continue in this space of basically supply chain planning software and optimization in particular. So like after 10 years, my core expertise is not just optimization, but planning softwares in general. Um, and optimization, let's say in particular. I've also worked for several software companies or with several software companies. So this is why I have a lot of experience.
Yeah, and as of today, you're working as a freelancer.
Yes, I'm not actually a freelancer, I'm an entrepreneur from the beginning of the year, but I also did it a few years ago. So I had a few attempts with that. And now I'm back on it because I realized that that's the way to go for me.
What really caused the transition from a organization-based employee to the entrepreneurial journey?
It's just I always felt I want to work on my own. Um, and I just felt like, well, I need to work in some companies to learn stuff. And then I was working in the companies, and then as I told you already, maybe 4 years ago, I started as a freelancer, and I really enjoyed it. Um, and then I went back to being an employee because I said, well, yeah, okay, let me check again, but no. Um, and then since the beginning of the year, when I started again being on my own, I learned a lot and I realized that this being an entrepreneur is a way of being. So it's not that I need to build a business overnight, or it's just the way I look at things, the way I do things, you know? So in the end, it has nothing to do with the experience you have, or I don't know, that you have some brilliant ideas. You know how people think, oh, I'll have this brilliant idea overnight and tomorrow I'll be super rich and that makes me an entrepreneur. No, it's just a way of being. It's a mindset. And it's a mindset which you practice every day because it's part of who you are as a person, right? Um, and I want to give here two examples. Like just this week, I talked to Goran. I also met him through LinkedIn. He has a company, Dots and Lines. It's a consulting company. And he also started as a freelancer, but he actually started at the beginning of the career. So he did a master's in optimization, and then there was no job, and there was no PhD. He didn't know what to do. He said, well, I'm going to be a freelance. And he had a few weird projects at the beginning, but then a good project appeared. So he basically learned everything on the job as being a freelancer. Whereas I was a bit more scared and cautious. I said, well, I need to work 40 years in a company to learn, and then I can be on my own. But no, it's just a mindset. And he realized he had that mindset from the beginning. And his company now, 5 years later, they are 9 employees. They have projects all over the world and so on. And also talking to him, I saw it's just this mindset. You have a mindset, one. And second is just who you are, you know? So it's only working in a company is bad and good, or, you know, there is no good or bad. It's what fits you as a person. So basically, this is where I went back because I feel now I can be myself in the professional life, and it feels good.
Okay. Talking about the freelancing and then again transitioning to entrepreneurial journey, it is filled with risk, especially from the
Mm.
financial standpoint. Like we on the
Yes.
basis need to pay the bill. Uh, what is the support mechanism? First of all, you can talk about yourself and maybe you can talk about the recommendation. What is the right point? What is the time that we do that transition?
I guess this is the biggest point. Like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to be uncomfortable with this uncertainty and risk, because nobody will come to tell you, hey, go be a freelancer, you'll get 100 projects. It's something that you need to manage internally. And for me, like, when I decided to leave the company and become an entrepreneur, I was sure just like that I will get a job, because I knew a lot of people knew me in the industry. I had some companies already wanted to work with me. And I said, well, I was very confident. Everything will be good. It's just a transition from and then those companies just wanted me as an employee. So I had 3 offers on the table, 3 jobs, but they said, no, we don't work with freelancers. No, we don't work with freelancers. So I suddenly realized, well, it's actually very difficult in this industry optimization. There is no this business model as a freelance. You're either an employee, and if you're a freelance, somehow also maybe in other industries, you are perceived as if, when there is a budget reduction in a company, they kick out the freelancers because they are the less valuable one. That this is the perception. And then I realized that, well, we need to change this perception because I believe this is a huge shortage of optimization experts in all the areas. And if I'm stuck in a company, you're stuck in a company, there are 40 other companies who don't use your skills, Whereas if you're this freelancer, you can work for 3, 4 companies in the same time, you can do the same. Then we can cover a lot of more. So this is a bit my aim, that let's change this. And of course, this will also bring a little bit more certainty. When you start, that this is a business model that people recognize in the industry. So yes, it is a risk, it is uncertainty. And then to come back to the story, I just felt like, what am I going to do now? I have nothing. I was so disappointed and upset. But then I said, so what do we do? What do I do? Do I go back to the job or stick to my belief? And then I said, well, I'll stick to my belief because I can always go back to the job now. And then that's when I realized this mindset shift, and I'll be an entrepreneur every day, even if I don't have an offer on my table. What can I do for it every day, every single day? I don't know what I started to do. Maybe I started the LinkedIn post. I said, well, I have this desire to share knowledge. I'll do that, Maybe it's not entrepreneurial or not, but I just felt like I need to do something for the community, and then the project started to appear.
Yeah.
And maybe in 6 months, I will again have no projects. But yeah, I'm comfortable with it because in the meantime, I gained a lot of confidence and I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with not knowing what's going to happen.
So in the end,
But I know it's difficult. Yes,
so in
I
the end,
acknowledge.
what really matters is that if we are able to connect ourselves back to our core values, and if we
Yes,
are driven by our vision or not, because it is the vision that gives us resilience and capability to take the risks.
yes, exactly. You have to stick to it, just stick to it and stick to it, and then things start to happen. I don't know how, but they do, and everybody says the same. The same with this guy I told you, Goran. He also felt like, oh, I couldn't find any freelance job. And for me, it's admirable. He had no experience. And he said, oh, I want to be a freelancer. And finally, he got it. And then he works for that company for 7 years. And he has other projects as well. So it's just sticking to it. But I know it's not easy because you often have a lot of criticism for your family, First, as you say, you know you have to pay the bills. So you feel responsible and say, this is insane. Like, how can I put my family in this position? But then your mom comes and your aunt comes and, oh, but why? You finish university, you get a job, this is the path. It is, but is it your path? That's the question, because as I said, path, there is no good or bad one. It's just what fits you. And as you said, if you are connected to your core values and you have a kind of a vision, because for example, now if you ask me what's my vision, I have some ideas, but it's not very clear, I just know kind of the next few little steps, you know? But then you do the little steps, and then when you do those, more steps appear. So yeah, it's a bit like that.
So, Christina, why supply chain and the optimization aspect of it? Why to pick up a problem that requires a decision making related to supply chain? Why not any other field?
Well, it was a little bit of a, how do you say, not coincidence. I just ended up in it because I did a PhD in mathematics, then I did a postdoc, and then I said I want to go into industry. And I had no idea about supply chain and optimization and nothing. And then I was applying for jobs in finance, you know, because that's where the maths is used, you know, as I was a mathematician. But then they found me. I put my CV on a website, and then a company called me and said, well, we have this job. I said, oh, yeah, optimization? Yeah, let me try it. And then I discovered it, and I was like, wow, this is the best thing ever. And even to this day, I think supply chain is so interesting because there's so much complexity and it's so beautiful. I don't know. I just think it's beautiful. It just resonates with me. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I would like to get your opinion on is that when we talk about optimization in supply chain, and then there is a big ruckus already being made about the Gen AI and the artificial intelligence in the supply chain. How do you see these two fields? Are they the same or are they different? Or what's your take on it? And what are the biggest misconceptions that you see overall people have in their mindset when they talk about the artificial intelligence and optimization?
Wait, to start a bit with the history, because we see now artificial intelligence, AI, ML is everywhere, and optimization is like very small, has a very small voice. Nobody knows about it, and this is what I'm trying to do to bring it like to make it a bit more visible. AI ML started as open source. It was always open source from the beginning. Everybody knew what was happening. You could use the tools. Whereas optimization back in the 70s, 80s, and I honestly think it was mainly used in supply chain. It was very closed, you know, like companies, they had products, commercial products, and even in the software, it was all, we still have this black box mentality. People think that you need to choose either optimization or AI to solve a problem, but that's not true. In supply chain, from what I see, you should use them complementary. For example, I think just an example, AI would be very good to clean up the data, right? Because this is a person needs to do that. It's very types consuming, and to spot all the missing links in the data, AI could do that perfectly. Or you can do a problem we have in supply chain optimization is the explainability of the models, because there are so many constraints and it's not easy to explain why did the solver give this demand to this plant and so on, you know. And then with AI, you can very quickly find the explanation, you know, because I've already seen it implemented many years ago at another company. AI didn't exist, but they actually made it like that, you know. So I think that would be very useful. And who knows, like as I put some posts recently, there are some companies which already use AI to, like I saw Quantagonia, a demo where they had the model, like a vehicle routing problem. So the solver gave the solution, and you had a shipment from city A to city B, city C to city D, and so on. And then there was a kind of ChatGPT screen, and you could write there, oh, can you change that constraint that this shipment cannot go from A to B and can only go to A to C? And the AI was changing the constraint. You could see it immediately, and then rerun, and the model changed. So that's also very good use, because if you would have to do that as a person, it takes a little bit of time. AI can execute it, you know, but it cannot replace mathematical optimization. So yeah, it can enhance it, let's say. Or I think there are other solvers. I think now everybody says they are using AI. So I'm not sure exactly who uses it and who doesn't, but I've seen it a few times, and yeah, it makes sense that we
And I
use it, right?
like the Warren Powell's interpretation of the whole confusion. Like he says that everything he has stacked in the layer. The
Mm,
first or second or third layer is the AI, which is more the one that we are seeing already. And then the seventh layer, he's saying that it's the
mm.
optimization, and they even go more beyond. It's a reinforcement learning. So it's all a part of the AI. It's not a two different thing, but it's more like a component of the one group
Mm.
of family. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they are obviously related, but yeah, as I said, I think we should not say let's use one or the other. Which one is better? No. Why for this I use optimization, or let's say mathematical optimization. For this I use AI if I can.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the another question. I see you as an evangelist of the optimization, especially in the supply chain. You have written lots of blog posts and then continuously posting on a LinkedIn. So I wanted to understand from you is that what really drives this motivation, and maybe if you can talk about that few of the classes that you have launched in past and few of the sprint, there was a recently sprint you can talk about, so that the viewers or the listeners who are in the podcast can really benefit out of it.
Um, I think I started because what I said is like in supply chain we have this black box attitude, and I just felt I had this all this knowledge, and I need to get it out to fight this black box effect. Because like just today I read because now I have a project and I did a bit of research about the PPDS optimizer. So the SAP, in SAP you have a for the scheduling an optimizer, and then a guy who was an expert, he wrote an article about it, you know, and I read it, and um, at the end he said, but I actually don't know what's happening inside. So he was the expert. He was writing an article about that optimizer, but he said, I have no idea how it works. So this is the problem, you know? And this is what I this is why I started writing the post to explain how the optimizer work, because he was saying that, well, this happens in the solver and you need to do this, but I don't know how to do it. And while reading it, my thoughts were, but I know exactly how to do it. I exactly understand how it works, you know? So this is my work to explain what's happening in the optimizer. And then I started publishing the post, but then I realized I need to do more. And then I started a master class. And that's what I'm doing there. I'm giving the formulation, because in supply chain, more or less all the companies, they produce the same, like it's the same manufacturing process, flows in and out. So you can capture the majority of the equation in, I don't know, 5 to 10 equations, right? Of course, you have customizations, but we don't focus on that. On focus, how do you model supply chain, production planning, optimization planning? And I saw the feedback from the students. Oh, finally, we understand how it works, because it goes back to the explainability of the results, because they go to the clients, like they implement this optimization tool, and then they implement it, and the client asks, why is this result? I don't know. I need to call an expert. And this is what the guy in the article said in the morning. He said, and then somebody wrote an email asking me, can you come to our company for a few days to explain the results? He said, no way I'm ever going to do that. So how I understand him, but on the other hand, he's not right. So then we want people to love optimization. But how is the user going to recommend a tool? If I go implement a tool, I tell them, I don't know how it works. I cannot explain the results. That user is not going to advertise for optimization, you know? And I advocate that people who implement, maybe they don't need to be super technical, but they need to understand the formulation. And they also should be able to explain it to the user, because in the end, it's linear equation, is high school mathematics. It's not rocket science, you know. But if you don't know, you don't know. So, so this is what is driving me to the master class, to
It's
just
I
explain.
must say, I must say that it's very rare to find people like you who are really committed on a certain value. Like on a daily basis, all the corporate office that we work in, we are deep in shit of working all the time, really finding out a time to really bring the collective intelligence and knowledge of the people. And you're driving that exactly that point that people should become aware, more knowledgeable. So truly appreciated.
Yes, I think it's super important, and because I see a lot of people in my field, they say, well, I don't want to share because I'm losing my value as a person. But that's not true, because even if I explain something to you, and then you still need to go and do it. And so you still need to invest the time. So to learn it, to go deep into it, to connect with everything you know. So nobody can take that away from me. I have, I don't know, 10,000 hours of really working, debugging solvers. Nobody can take that away from me, right? And it's the same. So if you share knowledge, you don't lose anything. It's like, and you're helping the others. Instead of you spending 2 months to figure out something, you spend 2 hours. And then those 2 hours you really learn. So yeah, that's how I see it.
And I believe that this value, this vision is going to be tremendously helpful for the entrepreneur who are deep into the supply chain, solving their problem. And this is where my second, the last question is that, like, what are the message that you have for the small companies who are dealing with a supply chain problem? Like there are transportation management related problem, order management systems related problem, invoicing, track and trace, cost optimization, and each of these problems, it requires a certain decision, an optimal decision to be taken. How can they seek out guidance that what to use, what to not? Should they develop their own team, or should they hire, or should they hire a consultant? What's your recommendation, advice there?
It goes back to what I said. It's like there are very few specialists, and when they are stuck in a company, or maybe I shouldn't say stuck. Let's say they are full-time engaged, and then you don't know where to find them, so that there are no specialists. So this is why we need to make more freelancers, more entrepreneurs, and then because that's also a bit what I think we should put together as a resource. If you're a company, where is a website where I can search a person, supply chain optimization, energy optimization, vehicle routing, and so on? It's hard to find those specialists, as you said, in the small company, because the bigger companies now are a bit, they already have a data scientist team, and they are also a bit in that area. They can read an article, they can bring optimization. But I'm starting to discover there's a big difference between supply chain and the rest. It's building an optimization model comes with a very big challenge, which is not the mathematical model, but the infrastructure, the deploying the models. So I can see how companies think if you're a small company, you can do it, right? Very quickly, even Excel solver and so on. And let's say you can convince them of the value. But if it's already a medium company or a bigger company, to insert a model in their very complicated IT structure is a nightmare. So I think I kind of understand the way they don't want to go into it, you know? And yes, then if they have a local team and they know a little bit of optimization, maybe they convince them, but it is a lot of work. I can see it is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And the fact that the models are not open source, as I said, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work
So
to
can I
do.
conclude is that perhaps what you're hinting is that we need some sort of a consolidation of all the experts who are in various diverse,
Yes.
and so that it is easy for these small companies to find them out. And maybe you are kind of promoting as well, we need more specialists to choose a freelancing or entrepreneurial journey so that they can utilize their experiences. It will be a kind of win-win situation, win for the company and win for the people who have been
Yeah.
working in this space.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have a lot of people that contacting me exactly with this question. How do you become a freelancer? How do you get over the fear? How do you find projects? And I tell to all of them the story, and I kind of try to encourage them. But I get it. It is difficult. It is a job. Everybody's criticizing you. You don't have anything clear. But on the other hand, there is a lot of opportunity, as I said. There is a big shortage of optimization experts. So you just need to make a little bit of noise. Write LinkedIn posts so people know you, network. I'm doing a lot of that, trying to encourage people and so on. I don't know if it's working or not, but I see that some of them already took some decision to become freelancers, and yeah. So yeah, we just need a little bit more to talk about it. Maybe that's the first step. Talk about it, bring more awareness, a bit more confidence. because just to give an example, the first time I was a freelancer, I got a very big project. And I was very scared. How am I going to do it? Because in the company before, there were like 7 super duper optimization experts. Now I was alone. What, like I was so scared and so overwhelmed. But then I did it so well, So this was a very big jump in my confidence, in my knowledge. So I think it's a very nice feeling to have. So I recommend it.
Yeah.
So
So
it is risky, it is difficult, it is a challenge, but you also have a lot of how do you say, rewards. You feel fulfilled, and if you don't like it, you go back to the job, no, in the end. So that's also possible. Yeah.
okay, to that point, we reached to the end of the session. So we have been talking to Cristina Radu. She has been very much a passionate evangelist of the optimization in the LinkedIn. She can be reached out into the description that I will provide. And she had, must say that as a smart class, you say, right, Cristina, that you had started?
Masterclass.
Masterclass
Yes.
on the optimization, and it's totally free of cost, so everybody can join.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for joining with us, Cristina.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was actually super fun. A reminder, why am I doing this?